All right, today we are stepping into the shoes of a medical detective. We've got two cases in front of us, two young people who seem perfectly healthy, but each is battling a completely baffling, life-threatening illness. And you know what? The only way we're going to solve these mysteries is by cracking the code hidden deep inside their blood.
I mean, what happens when your own body just turns on you, seemingly out of nowhere? For our two patients, life went from totally normal to absolutely critical in just a few weeks. Their stories couldn't be more different, but the path to figuring this all out, it's exactly the same. It's a journey that kicks off with a simple blood test and, hopefully, ends with a diagnosis that changes everything.
Okay, let's open up our first case file. Now, this isn't just a medical puzzle, not at all. This is a deeply personal story of hope and, unfortunately, repeated heartbreak, all centered around one woman's dream of starting a family. So meet our first patient. She's 32, and on paper, she's the picture of health. She doesn't smoke, she's not on any medications, but she and her partner are caught in this just devastating cycle. 3 pregnancies and 3 terrible losses, all within the first trimester. You can only imagine the emotional toll. But there's a key clue in her background. Her mother has lupus, which is an autoimmune condition. That's a little flag right there. So the doctors turn to her blood for answers, and whoa, the results are pretty startling. First, her APTT, that's a test that measures how long it takes blood to clot, is way longer than it should be. That's a huge red flag that something is messing with the whole clotting process. But the real smoking guns, it's these 3 antibodies. They shouldn't be there. Period. These aren't fighting off a cold, they're rogue agents, confirming her own immune system is the source of the problem.
And all of this leads to one diagnosis: antiphospholipid syndrome, or APS. The easiest way to think about this is that her immune system is making these proteins that turn her blood super sticky. This causes these tiny, really dangerous little clots to form, especially in the super delicate blood vessels of a developing placenta. And that, tragically, cuts off all the support and ends the pregnancies. This diagnosis is the key that finally unlocks this whole painful mystery.
So, this is the crucial moment, right? We know what the problem is. Her blood is prone to clotting at the absolute worst time. So, what do you think is the single best strategy to protect a future pregnancy and finally give her the family she's been dreaming of? And the answer is a really powerful 1-2 punch. It's combination therapy. The absolute standard of care and the best shot for our patient is using both low-dose aspirin and a special blood thinner called low molecular weight heparin. So why does this specific combination work so well? Well, it's a brilliant 2-pronged attack. The aspirin basically acts like a non-stick coating for platelets, stopping them from clumping up in the first place. At the same time, the heparin is working on a totally different level to prevent those clots from ever even forming in the placenta. See, using just one of them isn't nearly as effective. And another common blood thinner, warfarin? Absolutely not. It's known to be really dangerous during pregnancy, so it's completely off the table. All right, let's turn the page to our second case. We're going to see how a totally different set of clues points to an entirely different kind of medical mystery. This time we've got a young man whose health is just declining. It's happening fast, and it's happening invisibly, from the inside out. Our second patient is only 23 years old. A month ago, he was totally fine. Now he's just bone tired all the time, no matter how much he sleeps. He's getting these random nosebleeds, weird bruises are showing up from the slightest bumps, and his gums bleed whenever he brushes his teeth. Something is clearly, seriously wrong here. And once again, the blood tells the story, but this time it's a story of what's missing. Just look at these numbers. His hemoglobin, which carries oxygen, is dangerously low. That explains the crushing fatigue. His white blood cells, his body's little soldiers, are depleted. And his platelets, the things you need for clotting, they've basically fallen off a cliff. It's not just one thing. His entire supply line has collapsed. The diagnosis is aplastic anemia. It's rare, but it is incredibly serious. The best way to picture it is this. Your bone marrow is the body's factory for making blood cells. Well, in his case, the factory has just shut down. Production has stopped. A biopsy confirms it. Where you should see a bustling factory floor packed with new cells, there's mostly just empty space. The whole place has gone quiet. So this is a massive problem. The ultimate fix, right, would be a bone marrow transplant. You're basically getting a whole new factory. But this patient doesn't have a matched donor. With the number one option gone, how in the world do you restart a factory that's gone dark? What's the next best move to save his life? The answer is you have to fight fire with fire. The best course of action is an aggressive therapy to suppress his immune system using powerful drugs like ATG and cyclosporin to basically hit the reset button on his entire immune response.
So, why does this work? Well, the leading theory is that in many cases of aplastic anemia, the patient's own immune system is mistakenly attacking the stem cells in the bone marrow. So this therapy, it's like a hard reboot. It tells the overactive immune system to just stand down, which gives the bone marrow this precious window of opportunity to recover and start making cells again. Just giving transfusions is only a temporary patch, and chemotherapy would actually be harmful. Remember, this isn't cancer, it's a factory shutdown caused by friendly fire.
So let's just take a step back. We've looked at two very different patients with two very different problems. In one case, the blood was doing way too much, creating dangerous clots. In the other, it wasn't doing nearly enough, leaving the body totally defenseless. But the journey to a solution, it was remarkably similar. And that's really the core takeaway here. Both of these mysteries started with symptoms that could have meant almost anything: fatigue, bruising, heartbreak. But by methodically following the clues hidden in the blood, doctors went from a vague problem to a very specific diagnosis. And that precise diagnosis, it is everything. It's the key that unlocks the door to the right treatment, turning a life-threatening mystery into a manageable condition and giving these two young people a shot at the future they deserve.
And it kind of leaves you with this final thought, doesn't it? We live in this incredible age of AI and big data, all of it promising to revolutionize medicine. But as these cases show us, there is still an absolutely essential, irreplaceable role for that classic human detective work. Really listening to a patient's story, following the clues, and putting the puzzle together, piece by piece, to solve the mysteries hidden within us.